Okay, I want to look at J.D. Vance. Now, the first 3 cards I've gotten are all major arcana. The first one out is Trump. The reading's about Trump, his death and end point, Trump, and going forward. So those are the first 3 cards, what the reading's about when it comes to J.D. Vance. So let's see what the energy is coming into this. It's about ruling by emotions, being ruled by the emotions. Also is my card for democracy, figuring out the next move, and what he's going to try to get away with. Okay, the takeaway. The mental things he's carrying, what he's leaving behind, going forward. At the death, figuring out the next move. And Trump ruling by emotions or democracy. What's going on now? What's being shared? The light on what's being shared and what's being walked away from. Okay? Walking away, distancing from what they're trying to get away with going forward. The challenge is the long term. Embattled, being embattled for the long term with the new path. Okay? Figuring out a new path for the long term going forward. He's embattled. Nobody likes J.D. Vance. Okay? Potential outcome. Yeah. Guess who? The devil, the dark drama. Out in the cold. And struggling. Arguments, struggling out in the cold with his dark agenda. Okay, on one side of it we have justice. On the other side of it we have what's being handed out. Okay, and above it all, a tower moment. Underneath of it all, a tower moment. When it comes to justice and what's being handed out. Let's look at the outside influence. The burden. A burden being carried. Not seeing the way. Republicans. And the ending. Okay? An ending. An ending. The burden. Republicans. So at the center of it is shedding light, figuring out the next move, being embattled, what's being shared, walking away from it, trying to get away with things for the long term, and democracy, some sort of a new path that this guy would want to bring in. Figuring out the next move at the death, at the end point, the light on that. What he's trying to get away with when it comes to democracy. When Trump leaves, okay? What's the next action when Trump's gone? And this chariot where it's going forward to with what's being shared. Feeling embattled, the light on he's out in the cold. Feeling embattled when it comes to the darker energy. Some of it he's wanting to walk away from. But we'll see. The long-term new path, what's being shared is, they're struggling with what's being shared. Tower moment for justice and what's being handed out. want to see what is the burden, the Republicans, what about the Republicans going forward? Hidden agendas, strengthening some hidden agendas. And what are this endpoint here when it comes to the swords, the Ten of Swords? What is that about the White House? The White House. What's the burden? Authority. The burden of authority and overturning authority. The burden of overturning authorities. So let's go ahead and we'll do the clarifying read and see what else is going to tell us about J.D. Vance. You know, they've got plans for when Trump is out of office one way or another, whether it's through death or whether it's through, you know, just an end point. Death card always doesn't mean death. It can on occasion, but it also means an end point to something, a transition. So whether he's taken out of office by, you know, maybe a major stroke, he can't do anything, or a death, or just his Article 25 enabled to do anything. Maybe he's mind gone around the bend or something has happened, major illness that he cannot compete, and they do an Article 25, but some way that he's out of office. So let's see, at the center of it all we have, wanting to control, being ruled by control. The ground point, being suited up, armored up. Above it, what's being built, what they're constructing, and rapidly. So rapidly trying to put things into control. One side of it we have for the long term, about what type of control for the long term. Above it, an agreement, foundation, what's being handed out. And it's about the mental, being ruled by the mental realm of transition for the long-term control. Agreements rapidly in place. Okay, the other side of it, about tempering. Above it, this rulership, being in charge, to temper, feeling embattled. With the actions being done, choices of actions being done, rulership of mind, controlling, wanting to be king, emperor, what's being handed out, an agreement about the long-term embattlement, okay, feeling pushed to the edge, okay, with what's being built for the long term rapidly coming into place. An agreement with what's being built as far as the controlling element, what's being put into place, what's being handed out rapidly, feeling embattled, and the rulership of mind and how the actions are going to play out. Okay. So I want to look at, let's put this at the center, this ruling element. What can you tell us about this ruling element? The mover, the shaker, the one that wants to get things done. suited up, armored up. The center of it, what's being offered up by this one. Above it, charging forward. There would be a charging forward of what's being offered up, and a new cup. Something new coming in, being offered up. One side of it, we have a message about an action. Above it, a message about more information. And yeah, new information, a new, going forward. So there would be some radical messages being put out about potential actions, what's being offered up. The other side of it, we have blocking, some things being blocked. When it comes to investigating, looking deeper, but the wheel is turning with it. When it comes to the White House, and above it walking away, distancing from some things being offered up, charging forward with a new cup, looking deeper into some of this new information, and the wheel is turning on these messages that are being put out, moving forward when it comes to the White House, and distancing. Now it looks like some of the things he would be wanting to make some changes. Let's look at the White House at that point. We're going to start with the White House at the center of it, see what it says about the White House. Balance of things, the energy of the White House. What would happen with the balance of the energy of the White House? Now, we know that he is more than likely controlled by Peter Thiel and that ilk. He had such a different viewpoint on Trump before and then made a 180. So when it comes to the White House, the center of it is based on the desires, what's being sold, the merchant. Above it, what's being worked on. Yeah, the desires being worked on, and controlling the action, being ruled by the actions of what's being built, what's being worked on behind the scenes, what they're going to sell. A new action, endings, this delusion, an agreement about a new action, putting an end to something of this delusion. The other side of it coming in, the evidence in hand. Above it, when it comes to justice, and mentally being tied up with what's being offered and charging forward. Club in hand, energy being worked on by what's being sold, controlling the action. Delusional ideas about justice. Some of the things, there would be, the swords coming down, mental restrictions, mentally just raining down on this when it comes to this new action with evidence in hand and agreement about what's being shared. So I'm going to leave that here. So some kind of a new thing when it comes to the White House and what they're trying to sell from there. Okay? There are going to be a lot of restrictions. So we'll have to see if the cards are right or wrong when it comes to J.D. Vance, what's going on now, etc. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you online.